Our first lesson is from St. Paul's first letter to the church at Corinth, chapter 13, verses 1 through 13. I invite you to listen for Christ's Spirit speaking to you. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part, but when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three. And the greatest of these is love. Love. It's something we all want. We all see it. We all hear about it. It's something all around us, from movies to TV shows, to books, to songs, to social media. But what does love look like in our own lives? Is it just a feeling or is it something deeper? We hear the word love a lot, like, I love this movie, I love coffee, I love my new pair of shoes. But this scripture calls us to not only feel our love, but show our love. We have to show our love for others through our actions. But what does that mean? To demonstrate, I want you all to think of someone you love. It could be anybody, a partner, a friend, a sibling, or someone who's no longer with you, but you still hold in your heart. Now, ask yourself, how do I love them? And what does my love look like in action? Am I patient? Am I kind? Am I considerate? Am I all of these things, even when they frustrate me? Now, imagine if the person you have in mind was to define love based solely on how you treat them. What would their definition look like? Now, think of someone who has changed your life for the better, and think about how they changed your life. I'm betting that it wasn't with their words, but with their actions. Maybe they make you feel safe and comforted. Maybe they listen when you need to vent. Maybe they make time to spend with you, even when they're busy. That exercise was meant to show how love isn't just something you feel, it's something you do and something you show. Love is a verb. When we look to Jesus and what his life looked like, we see that he loved the unlovable. He forgave the unforgivable. He welcomed everyone. His life was a masterclass in what it means to show your love in action. His love was not always easy, it was not always convenient, but what it was always was true. Love shows up. It checks in on a friend after a tough day. It stays it stays home to take care of someone when they're sick. It runs an inconvenient errand for someone. Love makes you vulnerable. It can be risky. It sometimes puts you at risk of being hurt or misunderstood. But love takes courage. Love is knowing and understanding these risks, but acting on your love despite them. Love listens. It doesn't always fix problems, explain solutions, or solve everything, but it listens and it's there for you. Love forgives. It doesn't hold grudges. Love doesn't give up. It doesn't run when things get difficult. It stays and fights even when it seems easiest to leave. Love can sometimes mean setting boundaries, and it can sometimes mean telling someone the truth even when they don't want to hear it. But what you need to remember is love is always intentional. It chooses kindness over arrogance, patience over irritation, connection over convenience. As this passage says, faith, hope, and love abide. These three. and the greatest of these is love. So, this week, I challenge you to let your love be visible. Pick a person and an action. Don't just say you love, show you love.
Our second lesson is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 13 through 16. I invite you to listen for Jesus speaking to you. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. This passage talks about how everyone's life is valued. Jesus is telling his followers to influence the world and illuminate it, and that they're not meant to hide or blend away. In Jesus' time, salt wasn't just for seasoning food, it was for preserving it. It was very valuable. So when Jesus calls us the salt of the earth, he's saying that we matter and how our choices and voices in the world help preserve what's good. Then Jesus says, "You are the light of the world." And light does two things: it helps people see and it pushes back the darkness. That means that your life can point people to something bigger, whether it is how you treat a friend who's hurting, use gifts, or speak when things are wrong. We are shining God's light. But Jesus isn't asking us to shine our light to get people to look at us. He's saying that we should shine our light before others so they see your work. When people see your good work in the world, it should lead them to God and inspire them to do the same. This passage has reminded me that at times I don't feel good about myself. I remember that everyone is important and we all have a place with God. You are salt, you are light, you belong. Don't hide it, let it shine.
Our third lesson is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, verses 31 through 37. I invite you to listen for the eternal word speaking to you. Then Jesus returned from the region of Tyre and went by the way of Sidon towards the Sea of Galilee, in the region of Decapolis. They brought to him a deaf man who had an impediment in his speech, and they begged him to lay his hands on him. He took him aside in private, away from the crowd, and put his finger into his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue. Then, looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be open. And immediately his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. Then Jesus ordered them to tell no one, but the more he ordered them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. They were astounded beyond measure, saying, He has done everything well. He even makes the deaf to hear and the mute to speak. My grandpa, who I call Pop-Up, is deaf. Growing up, he would tell me stories about when he was a kid being deaf and how he was treated. I never fully understand what it's like, but if it were me, I think I would feel like I'm missing out on so much. My grandpa never showed that. He shows up and is ready even if he can't fully understand everything that is happening. He enjoys every moment and appreciates it for what it is. I always appreciate how he's there and cares so much, even if he can't hear. My grandparents have always been super involved in my life. They always show up to my games, my shows, my birthdays, and every holiday. Some families don't get that, so I will always be grateful. My grandparents always cheer me on, especially Pop Pop. I can always hear him cheering for me on the sideline of my games, which motivates me to work even harder. I remember all the days and nights I have spent on their farm. My grandma Mimi always making the best food, especially her cinnamon rolls. And of course, Pop Up making it so much fun outside, from feeding the cows to rides on the side by side and trips to the dollar store and even working at the farm. He always makes something that may not always be fun, a great time that I will always enjoy. He never ever fails to make me laugh and enjoy myself with him, which is something I'll always remember and love. One story I will always remember that Pop Pop told me is when he was younger in school and he couldn't hear what the teacher was saying because the teacher's back was turned while talking. As anyone would, he asked a kid near him to repeat it, but then got in trouble for talking and was accused of cheating. When he first told me the story, it frustrated me. How is that fair? Luckily, after the fact, his dad straightened it out. Another thing is my grandpa would get very sick very easily. He's even told me it was to the point where he would see the light multiple times. Plenty of people would have not made it through all this, especially as a kid. But my grandpa is a very strong person, mentally and physically. So some situations like these he could handle. My scripture, Mark chapter 7, verse 31 through 37, is Jesus healing a deaf man who also has trouble speaking. When I first read this scripture, I immediately thought of my grandpa and the stories he told me. When Jesus opens the deaf man's ears and spits on his tongue so that he can talk, gross, it shows how not only does he heal people, but it shows he cares about the people and is willing to help. He says, "Be open," and the man can suddenly hear and speak again. Those two words changed that man's life. Then he orders everyone to not tell anyone that they witnessed this, so it was more of a special experience of the man getting healed. That just shows how much Jesus cared for the people. My grandpa is a very special person to me. I can't speak for him, but I wish Jesus could heal him like he did this deaf man. Even though he can't be healed like this, Papa still has found a way to be there and be involved. Something truly amazing that my grandpa can do is read lips. Not only can he read lips, but he learned how to do it all by himself. If that were me, I know I would have given up, but not him. Even after all these years of knowing he could read lips, it still amazes me every time that I speak to him face to face and he understands me. I still get to tell him about school and my sports and just what's happening in general. That is something that will always be special to me and I will always cherish. Even though my grandpa can't hear me when we were talking, we still have connections and conversations, just like Jesus and the deaf man. Jesus wasn't connected through loud talking, but just by touching and healing. So even if you can't hear me, when we still have those deep connections, even if it's just through him reading my lips. Now, looking back at the scripture, it's not just about ears. Sometimes we all stop listening. Maybe it's to yourself or to the people around you or even to God. But Jesus wants us to open up and listen to what we need. So Ephatha, or be opened. Listen to yourselves and God, and always be strong, just like my papa.